So one of the most dramatic motions of no confidence in a provincial executive is about to play out in KwaZulu Natal when a motion of no confidence in the current Premier, Thami Ntuli, is voted on tomorrow. The MK party brought the motion accusing the governing coalition of protecting privilege, preserving elite control, and maintaining economic structures that keep the African majority on the margins. The motion now has the support of the EFF, whose leader, Julius Malema, confirmed that his party's machinery has been activated to actively support it and ensure its success. The permutations, as they stand ahead of the vote, give the MKP EFF side supporting the motion 40 potential votes, were they to get the National Freedom Party's one vote in the legislature, so they would get to 40. If the current governing coalition holds and musters every single vote, it would also have 40 votes, leading to a stalemate in the 80-member legislature. So it would be 40-40 if those permutations played themselves out in that way. So let's try and make sense of it all. I'm joined by political analyst Zakhele Ndlovu to take that conversation forward. Good afternoon to you, Zakhele. Let's start with how did we get here? MK party taking and tabling this motion of no confidence. What makes them feel that at this particular point it actually stands a chance of succeeding?
What we see, it actually stands a chance of succeeding.
Zakhele Ndlovu, I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you.
Yes, I was asking what makes the MK party buoyant at this point to believe that there is a pathway that could see their motion of no confidence succeeding.
Well, I think because they are now expecting to get the support from the EFF, and then so we know that the MK party holds 37 seats in the provincial legislature. So if the EFF supports the motion, then they win over 2 seats, and then it will depend on the NFP if the deployee of the NFP, the MEC of Social Development, if she is going to support the motion. If that happens, then it should be a statement, it should be 40-40, and then that could result in any elections being called.
And as far as the governing coalition, Zakhele, what does that look like? Is it likely to hold, given there were points of tension a couple of weeks ago between the ANC and the IFP, and we know about the National Freedom Party and its own internal dynamics, but also its change of heart and position as far as the value of the coalition as it stands? Zakhele, I don't know if you can hear me. I'm asking about what we know about the extent to which the governing coalition continues to be coherent and cohesive.
Well, as we know, the composition of the provincial government is made up of the IFP, the ANC, the Democratic Alliance, and the NFP. At this point, the NFP is still undecided as to whether or not it should support the motion. We do know that the leader of the party, Mr. Barnes, is in support of the motion, but then the deployee of the NFP in the assembly, the last time I checked, she was not in support of the motion. So it leaves the door open tomorrow when the vote happens to see if the NFP will vote in support or against the motion.
So in that,
so if that happens,
yes, please complete that thought.
Yeah, so I was going to say that if the NFP supports the motion, then it would mean that the MK party, the EFF, and plus the NFP would have 40, so it would be a stalemate. So you have 40-40, And so that could then collapse the government because the government cannot continue if there's no outright majority. So the NFP gives the current provincial government enough seats to govern. So if the NFP votes in favor of the motion, then that would collapse the government of KwaZulu Natal. Then you'll have a stalemate of 40-40, and that could result in early elections being called.
So do we have an understanding then of what it will take on the side of the governing coalition, particularly the IFP working every possibility and everyone who is involved in that coalition to ensure that they have all the numbers when the vote is taking place and each and every person votes to reject this motion, or otherwise we'll end up in that situation where the side of the EFF, MK party, possibly NFP, ends up with 40. So in other words, the governing coalition can't afford to put a foot wrong in perhaps one member not voting or voting in favor of the motion.
Exactly. So the tricky part here is that I expect this vote to be a secret ballot. And if it's a secret ballot, so it's not a question of the members of the governing coalition to convince a party, but also to convince individual MPs, because they are the ones who are going to be voting. And if it's a secret ballot, then it makes it even trickier because you don't know if some members of the ANC could vote in support of the motion, because there are suspicions that there are members of the ANC who are sympathetic to the MK party. So if that is the case, you could end up with some members, I'm talking about individual members of the ANC, or even maybe the IFP, I don't know, voting in favor of the motion. So that's what makes it tricky and unpredictable. But I think it's important for the ballot not to be secret so that we know who voted in favor of the motion and voted against. And I think it's good for transparency and to hold representatives accountable, because how do you hold someone accountable if you don't know how they voted? So if the ballot is secret, it becomes problematic because you don't know how to hold the representatives in the legislature accountable.
All right. Zakhele, thank you for your insights. That's Zakhele Ndlovu, political analyst. So there you have it then. The stage is set and the stakes are quite high in as far as that political intrigue that will play itself out in KwaZulu Natal is concerned. Secret ballot, open voting, that's what it might likely come down to. And of course, we know from the jurisprudence of the Constitutional Court that a secret ballot is not always going to be a given, but you consider certain circumstances where you believe that it may be warranted. But on other occasions, when certain factors don't weigh in, it is quite appropriate to go the route of an open ballot.